I like that music.
Well,
like
welcome
that music?
into another edition of Game Changers, where these guys are going to talk about the music.
It's a nice little tune.
Goldie, thanks for dressing up for today's show. Really appreciate it. It's a busy episode.
Coming off that tough one in Buffalo, I figure let's pump it up a bit.
We'll try to get a little bit more professional.
Speaking of fashion, I got a question for you. I got a question for you. I got a question for you and the fans.
Okay.
I'm getting ready to go to the barber shop tomorrow. Should I take it all? Should I take it all off, Goldie? Should I go down to the skin?
Yeah, 100%.
What do you
don't
think?
need a barber, dude. I can just get my clippers out. I can sit right here and do it right on the show. I mean, come on.
Yeah, where do you go?
I can do it for you myself.
He goes in his case. His bathroom. That's where he's got the little thing on there.
Go smooth, Bo. Go smooth.
I just don't want this to become a trend, and then I have to do it. All right, let's get into the topic.
You got too much time. Don't do it, buddy.
I got some time. Guys, the Dolphins are trying to bounce back from that ugly loss to the Bills last week, 48-20, of course. Mike McDaniel got the question this week. Do you think this is like a get-right game when taking on the New York Giants? Bo, this question is for you specifically as someone who played professional football. Did you ever, in a locker room, go, oh, we know this one's in the bag, like a week out? You never counted your chickens?
No. Look, early on you kind of think about it, but you only got to stub your toe once. That you don't do it again. And look, I'm happy now that what the Giants are, what the Dolphins are doing now, coming home to the Giants, a team that's floundering, and if there's an opportunity to make it right, this is an opportunity to wipe that out of your mind, get back on track. That was just a bump in the road, and let's move on and get things going on track. So I'm kind of glad that I'm kind of glad they lost, because just kind of shake them up a little bit.
Yeah.
I'd rather get it done now, get that done now and get you knowing that you better be ready for each and every game no matter where you go, than saying, well, we'll lose some games down the road. But I think the wake-up call they got last week is going to prove to be very beneficial this week.
Goldie, is it actually a wake-up call, or could we see this as a trend? Specifically, when you look at the way teams are starting to defend the Dolphins' offense, you saw the Patriots, to an extent, contain that passing game, and now you saw the Bills very much do the same thing. Tyreek Hill under 100 yards, Jalen Waddle under 100 yards, just didn't quite get it going. Are you worried that teams have maybe figured out this offense a little bit?
Well, first off, I have to say that Bo Camper's lying, because they went 9 years in a row when you played without losing to Buffalo. Didn't you beat them like 18 times in a row?
All I know is that during that time, Coach Shuley used to try to petition the league to see if we could get Buffalo on the schedule 4 times instead of 2.
You went a decade, you didn't lose to them, so you did know there were a couple of games in the bag. You can tell us the truth. They're playing these 2 deep safeties, so they're taking away that deep pass. You mentioned New England, you mentioned Buffalo. Number 1, you got Bill Belichick, who's been doing this for 30, 40 years, Hall of Fame coach. And number 2, the Buffalo Bills, they got some great talent, and when you can get the push with the front 4, you can do that. So, yes, you can control that deep pass if you have the coaching and the personnel. Most of the league does not.
Yeah.
And that's why there's been 2 games the offense has gone off, 2 games they haven't. Teams can try to do it. That's where Mike McDaniel, he admitted after the game, hey, we probably should have stuck with the run a little bit more. The Dolphins will adjust. It's a copycat league. And if they see something's working, sure, teams going to try.
Let me tell you what. I walked into that building. It was an hour and a half before they were going to come on the field and play the game. And they were coming out to warm up. There wasn't one empty seat in that building an hour and a half before kickoff, and nobody was sitting down. They stood up for the whole time, and so I'm sitting there going, it's going to be a little tough game for the Dolphins. And it was loud and it was ferocious, and that football team came out with something to prove. And so, look, they had one loss hanging around their neck to the Jets in the division. They didn't want to make it too early, so they came. I think they hit the perfect storm for Buffalo when they walked into that stadium last week.
They've been the best team in football since they lost to the Jets.
No doubt.
Yeah.
They have.
Listen, so if you are worried about the Dolphins' offense, Wink Martindale, the Giants' defensive coordinators, were worried about them in a different way. He says they're keeping him up right now. He's crying in the middle of the night. I kind of think about that speed. Speaking of crying, Marlins fans moved to tears last night. Their great season comes to an end. But guys, we have a special guest to join us today.
Oh, I like that.
Jessica Blaylock.
Blaylock.
The league leader in getting hit by Gatorade bats this year with all those one-run games they had.
It did wonders for your hair, though, the Gatorade bats, I can tell you that.
Thank you. Yeah, it does look pretty great, doesn't it?
Jess, thanks so much for joining us. Look, last night obviously stung, but you're as close to this team as anyone out there. When you look at the strides the Marlins made this year, do you say, you know what? It hurts losing in the playoffs, but man, we got something building here.
Yeah, two things. Number one, I would watch a show starring Steve Goldstein where he just gives people haircuts and talks about sports. We'll get to that maybe later on. But two, I look back on this season, and sure, yeah, of course it hurts to get knocked out in the wild card round by the Phillies, but I look back on this season with nothing but gratefulness and thankfulness for all of the amazing things that we had the chance to witness, and how that just signifies what a bright future the Marlins have moving forward. Whether it was the one-run wins, the walk-off wins, Luis Arias hitting for the first ever Marlins cycle, Jorge Soler staying healthy and recording 30-plus home runs on the season. Skip Schumacher in his first year, not just as the Marlins manager, but his first year as a big league manager, completely turning around the culture of that clubhouse. Mm-hmm. How well Berger and Bell fit in at the trade deadline. I mean, you can go down the list and you can name so many positives. Sandy Alcantara, even though he struggled in the first half of the season, still managed to turn in 3 complete games. Yuri Perez making his big league debut and completely looking like he belongs in the big leagues. So, Goldie knows me well. He knows I'm not just glass half full. I'm glass 99% full, and I'm always going to find the positives. But I think when you look overall at the fact that this team, who a lot of teams would look at and say, wait, they don't have as good of a lineup as we do, the Yankees, the Mets, the Padres, those teams were all watching the playoffs from home. So I think you need to give the Marlins a ton of props for getting into the playoffs and making such big strides from where they were last season to where they ended up finishing this season.
Yeah, and I thought it was great, seeing some of the crowds late in the season on the weekends. And I do wonder if Sandy and Perez were healthy, how those matchups in Philly would have gone. Wheeler and Nola are great. Do you think, Jessica, that long-term, and maybe in a couple of years, we're sitting here and you're talking to some of these players and they say, yeah, you know what? That 2-game series against Philly, the way they played, the way that atmosphere was, that helped us a lot. Is that possible for this team looking ahead a couple of years from now?
Yeah, well, I think you take every single experience and you try and learn from it. And even Yuri just watching that crowd and that atmosphere from the dugout and seeing, okay, maybe this is the type of situation that I'm going to get the opportunity to pitch in one day. Whatever it may be. Andrew Nardi, perfect example, right? He gives up the slam, I know, but look at how amazing he was in the regular season and the strides that he took and how great he was with inherited runners. He got a taste of what it's like to pitch in a hostile environment in the playoffs, and he's going to learn from that. So, you look at all of these teams, and I think, Goldie, you and I could even look at the Florida Panthers and look at hockey and how every team has to almost get to the playoffs and learn from it first before they can make a deep run. And I think that the Marlins are going to benefit from this series in, several different ways, whether it's just soaking in the experience, learning lessons of how to pitch in a hostile environment like that, learning the offensive adjustments that need to be made, especially in the playoffs against guys like Wheeler and Nola, even if you had success against them in the regular season. I think there's just a lot of things that this team is going to take away from that experience and hopefully build on moving into the future.
Jessica, I go back to my experience the first time going into the playoffs as a professional, and you lose your first game, you lose your first playoff game. But when you go into training camp the next year, you got bravado. You can puff your chest out. We're a playoff team. We're not a has-been. We're starting out as a playoff team until you show us differently. You think this baseball team's going to carry that with them when they walk into the clubhouse next year in training camp?
Absolutely, and I think one of the biggest takeaways that they're going to carry over from this season is that, baseball is such an individually stat-driven game. And it's easy to play for yourself. It's one thing to have a team that consists of individuals, but it's another thing to have a team that consists of individuals who play for the team and play for each other. And that is the one way that I would describe this Marlins team. They truly, truly had such a wonderful culture in that clubhouse. They always, every single one of them, put the team above their own individual stats. They always played for each other, and I think that culture stemmed from, Skip Schumacher, the leadership that he brought, the fact that he trusted his coaching staff, the fact that the coaching staff, trusted the players, and the players trusted each other. That's something that Skip told me back in spring training. He had a conversation with the group, and he said, you've got to look to your left, you've got to look to your right, and you've got to ask yourself, can I trust this guy, and can they trust me? And I think all throughout the course of the season, the answer time and time again was yes. So again, does it sting to lose to the Phillies in that playoff series? You want to make a deep playoff run? Of course it does. But will they carry that knowledge that they were a playoff team and that they ultimately always played for each other this season? Will they carry that into next season? I think 100% yes.
All right, Jess, thanks so much. Look, I think everyone's now looking forward to spring training now, because when you make the playoffs and you start building momentum, as you mentioned, the Panthers, you've seen it build year over year. And we see the Panther stuff behind you. We know you're getting ready for hockey season, so we appreciate you jumping on. It's almost here. Get the sweaters out, because back to the ice.
She has as many jobs as you, Goldie?
She needs some new pictures, though, because Huberdeau's gone and Ichiro and Luongo are retired. We got to update the set there, Blaylock.
And we got Craig Counsell.
Is that Tim Tebow in that Florida picture?
Oh, man.
Tebow on the field there?
Oh, gosh. I've got Tebow. Let's see. I've got.
Oh, look at this. We got the Pedro.
I've got Joaquin Noah. You talk about living in some Florida basketball.
Oh, that's a real Gator if she's got Joaquin Noah.
We just learned that Jessica Blaylock lives in a museum. All right, Jessica Blaylock from Bally Sports, thank you so much for joining us. We appreciate all the help this season. Best of luck with the Panthers. Best of luck dealing with Goldie in the next upcoming season.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
All right, still to come on Game Changers. Speaking of hairdos, Miami Heat's Jimmy Butler had a fun one. I wish
I love that dude.
Bo, go with that.
Love that dude.
We're going to talk about the emo look that took over Heat Media Day, plus much more coming up.
What's
on
emo?
Game Changers. Emotional.
Huh?
Emotional.
Oh.
Welcome back to Game Changers. It's become a yearly tradition now at these Heat Media Days that Jimmy Butler is going to do something wild when it comes to his hairstyle. Obviously, he showed up with the emo look. Goldie, I'll start with you. Could you? No, could you pull it off?
Love it. Look at that.
Should he have left this for about like a week? Could we have gotten this in the preseason for a little while? Or how long do you think he could have gone before Spo would have been like, hey, Jimmy, we need to change the look?
Yeah, that's why he did it on day one. He's going to let Spo, okay, have your fun, and then once they get down to business. But, hey, he said there was a lot going on.
Yes.
Personally, with basketball, with the Lillard stuff.
Yeah.
And
look
I wonder
at
if the
got
piercings.
the black fingernails too there.
Yeah, he did the fingernails.
Got the fingernails going.
I wonder if the piercings are real. I'm guessing not.
I don't think
temporary.
They're real. Trish tried to get it out of him if they were real or not.
That hair looks nice, but he's no Taylor Swift. I can tell you that.
Are you? Bo, are you as hurt as he was that Damian Lillard did end up here?
No, not really.
Really?
Not really.
Why not?
I like what we got. I like our team.
Okay.
I do. I like the run they made last year. I think Pat. I learned a long time ago. Let Pat run the team.
Yeah.
He'll do just right.
Okay.
Don't poke your nose in it. So I'm not poking my nose in. I like where they're on, and I'm looking forward to the season. I'm looking forward to them to getting back in the playoffs and making another run for it. Who knows? Maybe at the trading deadline, something comes along their way. But yeah, it's Jimmy and Tyler Hero. Let's go, man. Let's go. Let's get it done.
So do you think all those fans out there who have already hit the panic button before the season even starts? Because Jimmy is guaranteed.
Come on, you got Joaquin. You got a guy from UCLA on the floor. Come on, man.
These California guys. Do you think it's too early to hit the panic button before we even play the game? Because that's what it looks like with Heat fans. The fact that they missed out on another big whale, another big free agent.
Well, first of all, I think,
Free agent,
the media, the fans, it gets played up too much. Kevin Durant is coming. Damian Lillard's coming. Okay, the only guys that really came were the big three. And it was two because Dwayne was already here. Look, Lillard's a great player. One of the great scorers in the league. There's no denying that. But usually, when the guy at that point in his career who gave his best prime years to someone else goes to the next team, usually it doesn't work. That's all I'm saying. Now, I would rather them get him, especially if you knew he was going. Like we were talking about, he goes to Toronto. Okay, who cares? He goes to Milwaukee to team up with Giannis. Now the Heat have a big problem.
Right.
But they did beat him last year in the playoffs. I'm not pushing the panic button, but I understand why Heat fans, it seemed like when the guy comes out and says, that's the team I want to play for, and that team makes a legitimate offer for him, it seemed like the stars were aligned for him to come, and then he doesn't.
I like your strategy, though, of like trying to convince yourself that it's okay.
Well, look,
Well, look, you're not going to get you're not going to get him, so you better convince yourself that it's okay.
Figure it out fast. All right, we still got more coming up here on Game Changers. Thanks, guys. We're talking soccer. Miami FC's Joaquin Rivas is in to talk about their playoff push. That is coming up next. Welcome back into Game Changers. We've got a special guest in studio, Miami FC's own Joaquin Rivas. You guys are about to make a playoff push at the moment, but before we talk about any soccer, you are a football player. You are here. We do have another football player in studio, Kim Bocamper. Let's settle the debate. Which is the real football?
The one that we call soccer.
Okay.
It's worldwide. Come on.
Yeah.
It's more popular. But I gotta respect him too, though. It's a very.
He's a very big man. So just know, I've seen him get mad.
I know. What position did he play?
Linebacker.
Oh yeah, no.
Yeah.
Football's good.
No, you're good. You're good. All right, Joaquin. As I mentioned, you guys are making a playoff push. Currently holding on to that final playoff spot there. Has this run up with the last 3 wins you've had, has it felt like you guys have already been in the playoffs? Has it felt that pressure, that atmosphere already?
I think no. I wouldn't think that's a way to go into it like that. I mean, I think we go into these last 2 games like it's 2 finals to make it into the playoffs.
Okay.
We're very positive in the way we're like playing and whatnot. I think that's one of the things that has kept us together this year is just staying. We've had a roller coaster year, we've a lot of ups and downs, and but for us, sticking together and staying positive, and then that's what's helped us out. And this Saturday, I think that's where we're going in. We're going to win and then hopefully clinch and worry about the next one later.
Yeah, you got Charlotte coming up. You mentioned you guys sticking together. How does that happen? Is it something that comes down from the managers? Is it the players? Is it the group you guys? Is it just a special soccer club?
I think, no disrespect to the staff or nothing like that. Obviously, they're there, but I think it comes down to the players because at the end of the day, we're the ones out there performing and whatnot and having to, train every day and sweat it out, all that stuff, do the hard work. But no, I think it's just the players. I think this is one of the teams that I've been in that the locker room has never been so close like we are this year. And I think that, like I mentioned, that's what's keeping us alive right now. As we say with any sport, when it comes to playoff time, just get in, and you never know what happens. Right. How do you guys feel? Because you mentioned your closeness. Is this a team where you go, hey, don't let us in? If we get let in that door, we're going to kick it down, and we don't want to. You don't want to face us right now. Yeah, we did mention that because, like you mentioned, that once you get into playoffs, the 8th seed always beats. Not always, but most likely sometimes beats the first
in Miami,
place.
That's how it works. Because you got the Panthers and the Heat. You get in,
you never know what's going to happen, But like I said, we're in a very positive mentality right now, and that's probably something that other teams don't. I think no team really respects us in this league as well, and we feed off of that stuff. It gives us more gas more fuel to the gas or whatever. But No, we were definitely enjoying taking it step by step.
And then look, South Florida is on a crazy run right now. It seems like everyone's either making the playoffs, making a run to the title. I mean, even Coco Gauff's out there winning U.S. Open championships in tennis. You guys could be the next team in line. We just saw the Marlins. You know, they made it to get knocked out, but hey, that's a big step for them. For you guys, what kind of step is this if and when you do make the postseason?
I think, like I mentioned, with the year that we've had as a group, it would be something fantastic making the playoffs and making a run at it and maybe even winning. Never know. Like I said, once you get in, anything can happen.
Just add you guys to the list. By the way, I know your biggest fan is here. Is Stella here? Or
yeah,
she just went outside. Okay. Okay. Congrats on the baby.
Thank you.
And thanks for bringing her in. And thanks for stopping by. And best of luck to you guys. Yeah. Best of luck to you guys. And the rest of the way we'll be watching.
Thank you.
All right. More to come here on Game Changers. We're going to see what is trending, including the BCS standings. Are they back? We'll talk about that next. Time to get to what's trending, and guys, I couldn't believe my eyes this week. I saw Vegas odds for who will be the Patriots' next coach. Bill Belichick and
rough
the Pats.
waters up in New England, my friend.
Yes, it is true, but that's what I want to get into.
Yeah.
How rough are those waters, do you think, Bo? Do you think they let him try to get to Shula's record? I think Goldie, you said it's something like 18 wins away from passing him. Or if things don't turn around this season, could we actually see a changing of the guard up in New England?
You know, they're playing. They're playing really poor football. They're playing poor football, and he's the general manager. He picks the players, and so you see the Tom Brady. You see how important the Tom Brady era was when he's gone. Now you look at him. He's how many games? 16 games away. 18 games. Mm-hmm. So at the current rate, he's going. If he wins 4 games a year for the next 4 years, he still won't get there. He's 72 or whatever he is. Coach Shula stopped coaching at 66, and most of his games were in 14-game schedules. Not where Bill Belichick is playing a 17-game schedule now, but that doesn't matter because he's not. Because then you take away the deflated footballs. You take away the games that they won where the guy was up in the press box filming, and then you go a little deeper, and you get the convict that was doing the snowplow. You get him out there, and you take that game away too.
50 years ago, but
you take that game away
that's
too.
Right.
It's all in the New England bloodline. All in the New England bloodline.
Do you think the fans, Goldie, will start to call for him if this doesn't change?
Well, fans always do. My big question is, how loyal is the owner?
Yeah.
I mean, for what Bill Belichick has done there, does he have carte blanche to win? I don't think it'll be 4. You might be right, but if he wins 5 or 6 a year, is he coach as long as he wants to be? That's the question. If he wants the record, and it's 5 or 6 wins a year for 3 or 4 years. And by the way, haven't made the playoffs in a couple of years. You're talking about 5, 6 years and not making the playoffs. Normally, you get 3 years in this league. So the interesting thing is Robert Kraft, is he going to have that conversation with the guy that put let's call it what it is. Belichick and Brady put billions into Robert Kraft's pocket.
And look, since he got there, Robert Kraft has took that stadium and put it into a mega stadium. They just put a giant scoreboard on one end. There's a mall outside. They got everything there, and you know what the owner doesn't want to see? Empty butts in the seats. And
now he could justify it.
When the Dolphins went into halftime, those Patriots fans were booing them running off the field. So they're not going to be patient.
He could justify it by saying it was Brady, not Belichick, because the facts are the facts, Mike, and you're going to laugh because I know these numbers. Belichick's is 13 games under 500 without Tom Brady. Not saying he's not a great coach, Hall of Famer. That's the fact.
He's okay.
Let's end it on that note. By the way, if you've been watching social media, if the BCS rankings were back, Miami Hurricanes would be #1.
Ooh.
Let's bring it back. That'll do it for Game Changers. We're going to end on that note. We'll see you guys next week.
Where are they going, to the Peach Bowl?
Yeah.